Picture this. You're staring at your banking app. You're watching that pathetic little number mock you from your phone screen. Maybe it's $73.42. Maybe it's $216 if you're having a really good month. Either way, saving your first $1,000 feels about as achievable as climbing Mount Everest in a pair of cheap flip-flops. Meanwhile, some financial guru on the internet is shouting at you that once you hit $10,000, the next $10,000 comes twice as fast. And you're sitting there thinking, yeah, right, tell that to my credit card bill. Well, here is the thing that's going to absolutely blow your mind today. That financial guru, they aren't lying to you. In fact, they aren't even telling you the whole truth about how dramatically easier it gets once you hit a certain threshold. The psychology and the mathematics behind why your first $1,000 is exponentially harder than your next $10,000 isn't just some toxic positivity motivation. It is cold, hard science. It's a science that most people never understand, which is exactly why they stay broke their entire lives. Today, we are diving deep into the psychological warfare happening in your brain every single time you try to save money, and exactly how you can hack it to build real wealth. Before we get into the brutal mathematics that prove this point, let me ask you a question. When you think about wealthy people, what do you picture? Maybe someone who never struggled with money? Someone who just naturally understood how to save and invest? Someone who was born with some special financial gene that you clearly missed out on? Here's the truth, and it's going to sting a little. The difference between people who build wealth and people who don't has almost nothing to do with how much money they make. It has everything to do with understanding the invisible psychological forces working against them. Your brain is literally wired to sabotage your financial success.
I'm not being dramatic. Neuroscientists have studied this extensively. There is something called temporal discounting. That's just a fancy academic way of saying your brain values immediate rewards way more than future benefits. Think about it this way. Your brain sees spending $50 on dinner and drinks tonight as incredibly appealing, but saving that exact same $50 for some abstract future version of yourself, that feels about as exciting as watching paint dry. But here's where it gets interesting. The exact same psychological mechanism that makes saving your first $1,000 feel impossible is exactly what makes the next $10,000 feel effortless, once you understand how to work with it instead of against it. The first barrier you are fighting is what psychologists call the house money effect. Your brain literally treats money differently depending on how you got it. The money you earned from your regular 9-to-5 job feels heavy, important, and difficult to part with. But money you found in your jacket pocket from last winter, or your tax refund, or that $50 your grandmother slipped you for your birthday, that money feels different. Your brain categorizes it as play money, and you are way more likely to blow it on something stupid. Every single dollar should be treated exactly the same, regardless of where it came from. But your brain plays these weird accounting tricks that keep you broke. Then you have money scripts. These are beliefs about money that got programmed into your subconscious when you were a little kid, and they are quietly running your financial life today. Maybe you grew up hearing your parents argue about bills, so now your brain associates money with conflict and stress. Maybe you heard the phrase, "we can't afford that," so often that your brain genuinely believes you're just not the type of person who gets to have nice things. Or maybe you grew up in a house where money was taboo, so you developed this weird shame around building wealth, like wanting financial security somehow makes you greedy. These invisible scripts are making financial decisions for you every single day. Here's the really messed up part. Your brain has been evolutionarily programmed to keep you alive, not to make you wealthy.
For thousands of years, the humans who survived were the ones who grabbed immediate resources when they were available. There was no guarantee that food or shelter would be there tomorrow. Your brain is still operating on this ancient software. It prioritizes instant gratification over long-term planning. So when you are trying to save money, you aren't just fighting inflation or a low salary. You are literally fighting against millions of years of human evolution. Your brain is screaming at you to spend that money now on something tangible. What if there's no food tomorrow? What if this opportunity never comes again? It's completely irrational in our modern world, but your biology doesn't know that. Every time you choose to save money instead of spending it, you are going against your deepest instincts, and your brain fights you every step of the way. But here is where the story completely changes. Once you hit a certain psychological threshold, something magical happens. Your brain stops seeing saving as deprivation and starts seeing it as an achievement. There's a psychological concept called self-efficacy. It's basically your belief in your own ability to succeed at something. When you have $0 saved, the idea of having $10,000 feels completely impossible. Your brain can't even picture it, so it doesn't even try. But once you grind out and hit your first $1,000, something clicks. Your brain suddenly has undeniable proof that you are the type of person who can save money. People who successfully save their first $1,000 are exponentially more likely to save their next $1,000 than people who have never saved anything. Your brain rewrites its entire narrative about who you are and what you are capable of. Now, let's look at the math. That first $1,000 is almost entirely dependent on your behavior and your willpower to spend less than you earn. But once you have money saved, compound growth steps in and starts doing the heavy lifting for you.
Let me show you exactly how this works. Let's say you decide to save just $100 every single month. I know, $100 might as well be $100,000 when you're looking at a tight budget. But stick with me. At $100 a month, it takes you exactly 10 months to save your first $1,000. 10 months of saying no to things you want. 10 months of feeling like you're making zero progress. 10 months of your friends thinking you've lost your mind because you won't go out to eat. Those 10 months feel like a miserable eternity. But let's say you keep saving that $100 monthly, and now you're earning a conservative 7% annual return in the stock market. Your second $1,000 takes about 9 months instead of 10. Your third takes 8.5 months. By the time you're working on your $10,000 milestone, it's taking you less than 6 months to save each additional $1,000. Why? Because your money is literally working harder than you are. While you are sleeping, while you are complaining about your boss, while you are binge-watching Netflix, your investments are out there making money. At 7% annual returns, a $10,000 portfolio is earning about $700 a year without you lifting a finger. That's like getting 7 months of your $100 savings habit for free. When this happens, your brain completely rewires itself. You start checking your investment accounts not with dread, but with excitement. You start seeing expensive dinners not as treats you deserve, but as future wealth you are giving up. You realize you aren't just building money, you are building freedom. Most people think money is about buying stuff. Wealthy people understand that money is about buying choices. When you have zero savings, you have zero choices. You take the job you can get, not the one you want. You make decisions based on what you can afford today, not what's best for your future. But when you have $10,000 or $50,000 saved, you have options. You can quit a toxic job. You can take a risk. You can start a business. The average American spends more money on coffee in a year than they have in their emergency fund. People are literally more committed to their caffeine addiction than their financial security. A $5 daily latte habit is $1,300 a year. If invested at 7% for 20 years, that's over $53,000 in future wealth you drank. The first $1,000 is psychologically challenging because you aren't just changing your spending habits, you are changing your entire relationship with money and emotions. You are learning to find satisfaction in delayed gratification.
So here's the bottom line. Your first $1,000 isn't just harder because of the math. It's harder because you are literally fighting your own brain's ancient programming to build completely new psychological pathways. But once you break through that barrier, compound interest and compound psychology work together to make wealth building almost automatic. The choice is yours. You can keep making excuses about why this won't work for you, or you can start that brutal but brief battle against your own impulses today. Your future millionaire self is waiting. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below on what your current savings goal is, and I'll see you in the next one.